Andre, did you live in Portland at one point?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes from, AndrePDX?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was there for like 7 years, I think.
Oh, really?
Like that,
Okay.
yeah.
Were,
5 or 7.
were you raised in Independence?
No, I was raised in South America. I was raised in Colombia.
Really?
Yeah, I'm Colombian.
Oh, you speak
So,
Spanish?
yeah, it's my first language.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't speak any English until I was 16 when I moved here. So I spoke Spanish first for a long time.
Where did you move here to? In Independence?
No, I moved to Alabama
Okay.
first. Yeah.
How'd
when I
you
was
end up here?
Just traveling around. When I left my house pretty young, and I started traveling all over the place and lived in a lot of different states. And then one day I drove to Oregon, and I spent 21 days driving, trying to find a place. And I ended up in Eugene first. And I loved it. It was great. It was perfect. It was meant to be. And then I met my wife. And then we traveled a lot with her too. And then we came back to Portland, lived there for a few years. And then I had a job in Portland that kind of ended. But if I wanted to stay with the same company, I would have to move to Salem. And so I decided to do that. And so I moved to Salem and bought a house in Independence, which is, it's like the best kept secret, I think. That little town is like so nice, just the right size. I know everybody there. It's like super peaceful. I got 3 kids, so it's all about the kids,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome, man. That's really interesting. I just find that so mind blowing. Like, John's from Texas too, and he ended up here too. He had a friend, and he followed the friend, and he ended up liking it here too. So, like, what did you like about Oregon? I just find that so mind blowing.
I don't know. I lived in a lot of states, and I liked something about each state differently. When I got to Oregon, I don't know why, but I felt like I got home. Like, I grew up in another country where it's very different, And growing up, I didn't feel like that was my home. Like, I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. And when I got to Oregon, and this is like 10 or 12 years after I moved to the U.S., I felt like I had arrived home. Yeah. And I don't know how to describe it. I just felt like I was like, oh, this is where I need to be. I don't know why.
Are you a nature guy?
I like nature, yeah. I go back and forth. I like camping a lot sometimes, and then I don't do it at all sometimes. Like, I go back and forth. I'm kind of scared of nature a little bit. I've had like crazy experiences out in nature where like thought I was gonna die, so I'm scared of it. So I do it now sometimes just to face my fear.
What, you find Bigfoot or something?
Pretty much. I ran into bears in the wild.
Dude, that's one of the biggest things, dude. I'm like, every time we go like hiking or something, like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like, dude, what if a bear comes out? Like, what do you do?
That's a fear for you?
Yeah, dude. When we go, yeah, we went. We did a hike. It was like we were there for like 10 hours, dude. Because we took the longer way. So we took like 10 miles or 12 miles instead of doing 4 miles, the shorter way. But you're in the middle of nowhere, you're like, dude, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good because it keeps you in check. Like, it reminds you that we're insignificant and that we're not like very powerful. We feel powerful when we're in the city and we're like driving our trucks. And we're like, yeah. But you're in nature and you're like, oh shit, like a mountain lion can come and get you in 2 seconds. There's nothing you can do about it.
No.
I think about that all the time. I have like that trauma from running into bears in the wild that now I go mountain biking, and the whole time in my head, I feel like I'm being chased by something. So it makes me go faster, which is good. But I'm always scared. But I do it anyways. I'm like, well, if it's meant to be, if I'm going to get eaten by a lion, then it's just what it is.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I did a cool story.
Totally, yeah. It'd be a great funeral. People would be like, wow.
Dang, this guy's
so
a man,
unique.
man. He fought a lion. He fought a cougar on his way out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start recording. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah, dude.
With like the bears like just
Yeah.
walking towards and then you're walking backwards.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Oh, it scares the shit out of me. I can't watch those videos.
No?
Because that's happened to me.
Oh,
Like, I've been this close to a bear. Like, I've been, like, I could have touched the bear's nose. Like, that's how close I was.
Oh.
In nature, in the woods. It's
Was it
very
unexpected?
scary.
Did he just come unexpected or?
It's happened to me multiple times. I used to live in Lake Tahoe. There's bears everywhere there. Like, you see bears like all the time. Like, I used to work at restaurants, and when you take out the garbage, you gotta go with somebody just in case there's a bear. Like, and you gotta always make sure that and they're not aggressive. Like, I never heard of anyone ever getting attacked by a bear, but you do see them, because they're used to people. So, but it happened to me that I would go hiking and then I would run into them in the woods. And then one time, the one that I was super, super, super close to this ginormous bear, I was looking down, I'm walking, I'm on my phone. I was talking to my dad, and I'm walking, and then I see his paws right in front of my feet. And I looked up, and the bear looked up at the exact same time. So we looked at each other in the eyes, and the bear turned around. Like, we both got really scared in that moment. Luckily, the bear got scared too. Turned around and ran as fast as he possibly could the opposite direction. But that's the worst thing that you can do, is sneak up on a giant animal that can kill you in 2 seconds. So I'm always thinking, when I'm in nature, I'm always thinking that some bear's going to kill me.
That's a cool story, dude. Yeah, I ran into a bear and I scared him. He ran away from me.
I was like, what?
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, dude, sorry.
I never think about that because one of my buddies, a couple of my buddies got bear tags to go hunting a couple years ago, and we went out and we didn't find shit.
Really?
So I'm like, dude, there's no way that if we're out looking for them, I'm like, if I'm not looking for them, I'm like, I'm never gonna find them. So I'm like, never. That doesn't even come across my mind. But I don't know who knows, because I'm really unlucky, huh? Like, I tried doing all these like outdoorsy things and I suck. We tried going fishing. It took us like 5 tries to go out before we caught our first like 4-incher that we had to throw back in or something. And gone hunting a couple times, and for deer season we found elk, and for elk no, I didn't even go out for elk, but for deer season we found a bunch of elk, but it wasn't elk season, and we didn't have tags. So I'm just really unlucky with that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. Like, I've never been hunting. I would like to do that.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. I went fishing once with my wife, and she caught a bunch of fish. I didn't catch one. So I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Because this is just not for me. And I get really stressed out when I'm not doing something. So that's the other thing about nature for me. It's like, I need it. I think everybody needs nature. But I get stressed out because I feel like I need to be doing something. And when I'm trying to relax, I get more anxious. Like, I don't know how to relax. So going fishing for me just drives me nuts because I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I could be filming a video. I could be doing this thing. I could be cleaning my house, whatever,
Yeah.
So
I find it peaceful, man. I don't know. When we go, we usually go with like 4 or 5 guys, so we're just kind of shooting the shit and just talking shit to each other and stuff. So this guy's scared of water. He doesn't know how to swim, so we're like shaking the boat and stuff to like freak him out and stuff. So I mean, we go for a good time.
That's
We
why
don't
it's
even-
fun.
Yeah, that's why it's fun.
Yeah. Taking your friends out into the woods is great because it builds community.
Yeah.
Like, you make fun of each other,
Yeah.
and you're okay because you got other people. Like, I just went mushroom hunting with a friend of mine.
Okay.
And that was really fun. But in order for me to feel like I'm being productive and I'm doing my job, I had to bring my camera and film it. And he's my filmmaker friend, so he's teaching me how to film. But we went into the woods and it felt great, and I didn't notice how good it felt until I got home, and I just felt so like, like I just got high on nature. It was really good, which tells me that I need to do it more often.
Did you guys find anything?
We did. We got
okay.
a bunch of mushrooms.
There you go. That's why.
Yeah, we got chanterelles, yellowfoot, and hedgehogs.
Okay, so it was a successful hunt. That's
It
why.
was,
That's
yeah.
why it was fun. That's why you want to go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit, man. So you said that you came to the States when you were 16 from Colombia. Your Instagram is ChefAndrePDX, right? So obviously you're a chef. I saw on your bio that you have over 20 years of experience cooking. You've cooked for, I mean, all sorts of like big parties, athletes, and just all sorts of celebrities and stuff. So I want to know, when did you start cooking, and why did you start cooking? Because I mean, a lot of people, we like me, for example, being Mexican, my mom was always a big cook. My dad was even a big cook, right? But it never just interested me. So how did you get interested in cooking?
I moved here when I was 16, and I overstayed my visa. So I had a visa to be in the U.S. for 6 months, and I just never left. So I became illegal, and I was a kid. I was 16, so I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I went to eat at a restaurant, at a Mexican restaurant, El Camino Real, and I didn't speak any English either. So, and I went to the kitchen. I was, hey, you guys you guys legal, illegal? Like, how do you guys do this? And they're like, oh, we're all illegal, you know? And I was like, sweet, you know, I found my people. And I was like, how do you guys work, you know? And they're like, well, in kitchens, no one cares. You just get a fake social and a fake green card, and then you can work. And I was like, how do I get that, you know? So they're like, give us $200 and we'll give you a fake, everything you need, and you can get jobs. I was like, hell yeah. So I gave them the $200, and they gave me this like really fake looking green card. Like it looks so bad. And this social security card looked like they scraped the number with a coin or something, and then with a typewriter they put it back on, and it was all crooked and messed up.
Yeah.
Like, clearly a really terrible job. Obviously fake, but I made a photocopy of that, and I started working in kitchens because that was the only place where like I could show that, and the owner or manager, whatever, they would look at it and be like, oh, okay, you're good. As long as you work hard, you know, you're good to go. And that's how I ended up cooking. I didn't want to be a cook. I had no idea what I wanted. Like, I was just an idiot 16-year-old kid that was just lost, you know. And I started cooking, but my personality is that I want to be good at things. Like, it's not even that I want to be good at it, it's that I become obsessed with the thing, you know. And so I end up becoming good just because I like it. I like doing it obsessively. So I started cooking in different places, and then I learned that I could go to any state I wanted because there's restaurants in every state, you know, and my attitude was always really good. So wherever I was working, like if I wanted to work at a restaurant, I would go and knock on their door and say, I want to talk to the chef. The chef would come out, and I would say, dude, I'll work my fucking ass off for you. I will work so hard. Like, I'll be your best employee. I'll never complain. I'll be here every day, any hours, any day. I'll promise you. And they're like, okay, can you start right now? I'm like, yes, sir. And I had my knives with me, and I would just go and like, I would stay quiet and just do my work. And so they rewarded me by teaching me, you know, because they're like, there's this crazy kid, Andre, that works really hard, you know. So every time that somebody didn't show up or they fired somebody, the chef would be like, Andre, get over here. I'm going to show you how to make a dressing, you know. And I'd be like, yeah, you know, I get really excited. And I started moving my way up in the kitchen. So working the pantry station, and then working the broiler, and then working, you know, like everything from prep all the way to saute to kitchen manager, and then eventually executive chef at a restaurant. And I got to travel all over the place cooking in different restaurants. And I just really liked it for many years. It was just the thing that paid my bills. But it wasn't my plan. It just happened. Just because I was illegal. That's what made it work.
I find cooking really interesting because I feel like it's one of those things on because of social media that I feel like before cooking wasn't really cool, but like now it's like all over. Like it's like barbering too. It's like one of those like industries that have just like skyrocketed. Like everybody wants to like be a chef or a barber, influencer. One of like, you know, it's one of those things. So now you were doing that before it was cool.
Yeah, I feel like whatever destiny would have done for me, I would have become good at it because I just like getting good at things. I really like it. I think one of the things that I really liked is that I got free food. Like, I was really poor, you know? So I'm like, sweet, I get a free meal. That's great. That's a great bonus. You know, and back then they would give you a beer at the end of your shift. Even if you're under 21, like they'd be like, don't tell anybody, and just give you a beer. So like that was the best, you know? You're like, this job is amazing. I get to eat. And also because when you're cooking, is, in my opinion, is the easiest way to make somebody happy is to feed them. And so you get feedback right away. Like, I would make something, and I would put it in front of somebody, and their face would light up, and they would smile, and then they would eat it, and they're like, this shit's good, you know? And so all day long, you're getting this reward, you know? It's like now you look at your phone, and like you keep looking at your phone. When you're a cook, you just want that feeling all the time, that you want to create something delicious that looks beautiful, and you put it in front of people, and they go, wow. And then you just want to keep doing that, you know?
What's the difference between a cook and a chef?
I call myself a cook now. It depends on who you ask. Chef technically is the chief or the boss in a kitchen, like the guy that runs the show in a kitchen. I think technically that's what it is. And so right now I don't run a kitchen. Like I cook for my kids and my wife. So I'm not really a chef in that, by that definition. But it really depends, you know, like I like to cook. And I think that people that call themselves chefs, like to me sounds like pretentious. Like I'm a chef, you know. And so I don't like, even though my business, like the name of my channels, that it's Chef Andre, but that's just because that's the business name. So I don't know. I think the definition can change. Depends on, I think anyone that loves cooking could theoretically call themselves chefs. If you have the enough knowledge, you can do it. But I don't know. I don't have a really good answer. I think technically somebody that runs a kitchen, and then the cooks are the people that work under that. You know.
So you started at a Mexican restaurant. Did you stick with Mexican restaurants?
No. I actually never worked in the kitchen there. I was the chipero, the guy that just took the chips to the table.
Oh, okay. Is that what you call it?
That's what
I've
they call
never
them
heard of it.
in
That's
that
really?
restaurant.
Chipero?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that
So
either.
Oh.
that's a technical definition of
Yeah.
that career. That was the beginning. So I never actually worked at a Mexican restaurant. I think I started working at bars, like flipping burgers, like, and then a pizza place, like that kind of stuff at the beginning. And then the guys that owned that little bar owned another restaurant that was a nicer restaurant. Like they made like gourmet sandwiches and pasta from scratch, and it was a little bit nicer. And because I had a good attitude, when they fired somebody over there, they sent me there, and I worked there for a little bit. And then after that, I was like, I want to work at a fine dining restaurant. Like I want to go to the nicest. And without a lot of experience, I just went to a really nice restaurant, and I did that. I just knocked on the door, talked to the chef, told him I'd work my ass off, and he gave me a job. And after having that on my resume that I could go anywhere because I had a really good place, and my managers liked me. So then with that reference, I could get a job anywhere.
What was the difference between cooking fine dining versus like a bar?
It's a big difference, dude.
I know, but like,
Yeah, I mean, I think fine dining when I started was about food looking cool, and like French techniques and stuff like that. Bars don't really care, like bars just order everything from like a big company like Cisco or US Foods, and none of it is high quality. Nobody cares because everyone's drinking. You just want a fatty giant burger, which is delicious. I love that. In fine dining restaurants, they care more about the details. Back then, when I started, I think now fine dining restaurants are all about how they source what they're serving, and which I really like. That's an area that I'm very passionate about. So it's not about how fancy it is, but it's about the quality of the thing. So, for example, like if you're gonna make a soup that has carrots in it, you can go to the store and get carrots from the store, and they're not gonna be very good because they're carrots grown who knows where, and no one cared about the soil, no one cared about the farming practices, no one cared, So I think both for nutrition and for just the quality, like I like making a soup every summer that is a carrot soup, and the way that I make it is First, I go around all the farms and I taste all the carrots from all the farms from here. And whenever I find the sweetest, best carrot, then I buy a bunch of that carrot that came from that spot and that farm. So all of it is going to taste the same. And then I juice half the carrots and I cook the other carrots and the carrot juice. And then I put it in a blender and I put a little pinch of salt and sometimes a tiny little bit of olive oil. And that's it. So the whole soup is just carrot. You couldn't do that with a carrot from a store because it's just not a very deep flavored carrot. It's just a carrot from a store, And like I think that is because no one put love into that at all, ever, at any point. No one put love into the seeding or the planting or the harvesting, nothing. It's just
mass produced. Just
they just
go.
They're just trying to make money, so they grow these things and they destroy the soil where no one cares. But now fine dining, I'm happy to say that now it's becoming more about where you got your carrot and like the quality of the soil of that carrot and like everything about the story, like the person that grew the carrot matters, because if it's somebody that's mad and it's like, I fucking hate carrots, then it's just not going to be very good, But if it's like a farmer that feels like they're changing the world because they're growing these beautiful carrots, then that carrot soup is going to taste that much better. And I feel like fine dining is starting to take that step into actually caring about everything that they do. So it's not about fancy anymore, like looking cool, but actually having a story behind it. I feel like humans are starting to wake up to the fact that those things actually matter a lot, you know. So I think that's the main difference.
That's interesting. I saw. I don't know if it was your last video or your second to last video that you made with the meat that you were cutting, and you were saying that you outsourced that from a farm. I looked it up. It was like 4 or 5 hours away from here. Not Walla Walla. It was
A Carmen
Wallowa.
Ranch.
Yeah. Where's it at? Wallowa or something like that, right?
I don't know the name of it.
I think it's like Wallowa or something. It's like 4 or 5 hours away from here.
Yeah.
But is that you always buy your meat from people like that too?
I don't buy my meat from her always, but I always buy the meat from somebody that I know.
Okay, yeah, that's what
So
I meant. So not
that's-
from the
yeah.
store. You don't really.
No, never.
Never.
Never, ever, ever. I would never buy meat from the store. For a lot of reasons. Because when, like, my thing with cooking, like, the passion that I have for cooking is that I think it's powerful to make a difference, to create, you know, a positive change. And if I go to the store, like, I'm obsessed with the idea that everything that I do either makes the world better or it makes the world worse, right? And if I go, I think about that all the time. So if I go to the store and I buy meat from the store, in my brain, I'm thinking, am I making things better or worse? I'm not making it better because I'm taking my money that I don't have any, first of all, and I'm giving it to the store. And then the store is giving it to the people that raise that animal. And those people don't give a shit. And that money is going to go somewhere else. And they don't treat those animals with any respect at all. Like all the meat from the stores, even if they tell you that it's grass-fed and all that, like I don't think that's true. So I feel like by giving them money, I'm making things worse because I'm supporting this very destructive system that we have with food, especially with animals. And when I give the money to my friend Corey Carmen from Carmen Ranch, like I know that she cares about these animals like a lot. Like she grew up with these animals. She loves these animals. She takes care of them. She takes care of the soil, you know, and she's all about supporting our people. So that's the difference. I feel like I'm making the world better by giving her my money, you know. And so when I buy proteins, any meat, I buy it from a place that I know because I'm trying to keep my money here. You know, like we all win if the money stays here. But if we give the money to these corporations, the money leaves our community, leaves our hands, and then it goes into the hands of these people that already have it all.
Yeah.
You know, and food is powerful because we eat all the time, you know, and it's hard to eat like that all the time. But if we can, it's good because we make our communities better.
That's good. That's a good point. For someone that doesn't know, how do you find these places for you to go buy meat? Like, let's say, because I don't, right? Like, for example, like, what do I Google? What do I search? Or how do you find that?
Yeah, local ranches, like local meat, grass-fed beef in my area. Like any of those should point you in the right direction. It's tricky sometimes because the people that are doing it the right way, like the ranchers that are doing it the right way, some of them understand social media and the internet and all that, and some don't. So sometimes they just don't do it. So because I've been cooking for a long time, I have friends that are farmers, and then they introduce me to somebody that has pigs, and then they introduce me to somebody else. So now I have it set up. So I have a CSA, or community supported agriculture, which I think is the coolest thing ever. It's like you prepay somebody to grow your food, you know, whether it's an animal or it's veggies. And then with that money, like you're supporting them so they can support you. So I have a CSA for goat. So I have somebody that gives me goat every month. They bring me a box of goat, which is delicious, and chicken and pork. And I don't have one for beef, but I usually buy either half a cow. Like the last cow that I bought, it's my friend, and she texts me. She's like, "Hey, we're gonna have to slaughter one of these animals because the cow keeps breaking the fence and going next door and eating apples from the orchard." And so that guy is mad.
Yeah.
So we have to, because now, you know, so we got to kill the animal and we got to do something. So then I bought that animal. So it's really very special because it was my friend's animal that she loved. Like he had a name and everything, and she would go out and like pet him every day, you know? So like, I like that. Like it makes me feel good that, you know, there's positive interactions around this thing that I'm eating. So it's grass fed and apple finished because he ate a bunch of apples at the end. So yeah, I always do it. So just Google, you know, something like that, you know, like high quality meat in my area. There are a lot of companies, like big companies, that are trying to, like, you know, provide high quality meat for everybody. I'm not familiar with them that much. I think it's really cool because for some people it's hard to access. But the way that I like to do it is like I like to know the people I'm giving my money to. You know, like the power on this planet, unfortunately, is for those that have money. You know, and so it's really hard for me to make money. I'm not gonna give it to those people that already have all the power and all the money. Like I want to give it. Like if you guys are selling something, I'd be happy to buy it from you because I can shake your hand and like, you know, you're like part of my community as opposed to these big corporations. And food is huge for me for that as a chef. So I'm trying to keep it here and make sure the economy here is good.
That's good. I think we both like to support a lot of small business too, but I've never seen it in the food industry, which brings a good point. You know, that's crazy though. Did you? I don't know how is it in Colombia, pero I know there's a lot of the foods that are not sold in at least Mexico, like any that are that you could sell here in the U.S. because it has a lot of like I don't know chemicals or whatever it is. Like, is it the same in Colombia, or do you know, or?
Well, I think for the most part, the Colombian food system is very local. It's like most people there eat food that comes from there, which is good. But now there's a lot of big companies from the U.S. that go over there. So like now you'll find all the chain fast food places there, and people there think that it's cool, but it's not cool. It's terrible. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the foods that I grew up eating, you cannot find here because they're very tropical. Like where I grew up, there's every weather, you know, we have the jungle, we have mountains, we have the beach. So eating Colombian food here is impossible. And I don't really like the idea of bringing Colombian food here because we have people producing food here. So we should buy food from there, you know. People ask me, like, what kind of food do you like cooking? And I say, depends on where I am. If I'm in Oregon, I like cooking Oregon food, whatever that means, you know, whatever my farmer has, that's what I'm cooking, you know. Like I know how to cook well enough that I can turn anything into something delicious. So whatever my local rancher and my local farmer has, that's what I'm cooking.
You said you just bought a half a cow. Does that fit in a freezer?
Yeah.
Is it like packed freezer or what?
I got giant freezers.
Okay.
But yeah, you can half a cow depending on the size of the animal because this can vary. Can fit in like 3 Yeti coolers, like 3 like you know medium to large size coolers. You can fit it into that. That's how I transport it. Like I buy the animal, and then it gets processed by somebody. In the case of cows, beef, I have somebody else process it because I don't have the ability to do it because it's too big and too heavy. And they process it, they cut it, they wrap it, and then I just pick it up and it's all frozen. And so I just put it in the coolers, and then I take it to my house and put it all in the freezer. And so when I'm planning my meals for the week, instead of thinking I'm gonna have fajitas for this and chicken tikka masala for that, like I don't think in terms of recipes. I think in terms of protein, like what the protein is. So once a week, I open my freezer and I take some steaks and some ground beef and some ground pork. And so I don't really think about the recipe. I just think, well, Monday we're eating steak, Tuesday we're eating chicken. And it simplifies the meal planning a lot because I don't have to have all these ingredients. I just need to have high quality meat. And then I also have a CSA for veggies. So every week, my farmer friend hooks me up with whatever she has. And so that's what I'm eating. I just chop up veggies, cook them really quick, cook the protein, and that's my meal. So it's really easy.
Interesting. How long does a half a cow last you? Because you have 2 kids or 3 kids?
3 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah.
How long would a half a cow last you guys?
It depends. I have a lot of different meats in my freezer, so I don't know exactly, but I think I don't know exactly what the weight is, but I'm gonna say something close to like 200 pounds is what you would get, and each person eats about, let's say, 8 ounces of meat per day, or maybe a little bit more, 12. So for my family, we would go through 1 pound to 2 pounds of protein per day. So half a year, technically, right?
Okay. It lasts a long time.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, this is an argument. I run into this all the time. I get people that give me feedback on the videos that I make saying that eating like that is for the rich, or it's like this fancy, you know, like I'm being like, I don't know, like I think I'm cool because I'm eating these fancy things, but I don't see it like that at all because if you actually run the numbers, uh, except for the fact that you have to invest a lot of money, because if you buy a whole cow like that, you're gonna have to buy like $1,000. You know, it sounds like it's a lot, but each meal is actually cheaper than going to a fast food restaurant. You know, if you do it yourself. And so, what I'm trying to do with my platform, my social media, is teach people how to cook really awesome food. It's actually cheaper. You know, so we can start changing this narrative that, you know, like the rich eat organic and fancy, and then the poor have to eat fast food. Like that's crazy. 'Cause I'm poor. Like I've made, I can't even tell you. You would laugh. I've made no money at all. Uh, but I still prioritize buying high quality meats because I'm gonna eat anyways. You know, and you invest $1,000 and buy something like that, and then you have food for the next 3 months. You know, so it actually is not that expensive. You know, so I haven't done this very well, but I want to in the videos educate people on how to do that with numbers. So it's like, okay, well, compare eating every day at a fast food place compared to this, and how much time you have to spend. Like, I want to understand that better to be able to explain it better. Um, but it's not that much more expensive, you know.
I think that would be a really good video.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really good video for people to have see that perspective.
Yeah.
It's eye opening. It's what you're doing or what you like, or I mean, I see the passion in it. Is it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
We could eat the same way, you know.
Yeah.
And it's we've been kind of like growing up or brainwashed in a sense. Okay, that's how it is all the time, you know. But it's I mean, I see where you're coming from. It's a good point.
Yeah. If you go to other countries, I'm sure this is the way it is in Mexico, because it's the way that it is in Colombia, is that poor people eat the highest quality food ever. Like really poor people that live in the country, like the campesinos, they eat 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, like the best, like raw milk every morning, you know, butter that's from their property, chickens that run around their property. Like their eggs are the best because the chickens are free to do whatever. They grow their own veggies. Like that's how rich people eat in the US. Like here we think that that is reserved for rich people. It's just so crazy, you know, because like my dad has a house in the middle of nowhere in Colombia, like this tiny little cabin. And everyone that lives in that area is like a campesino, you know, like people that don't have a lot of education, that don't have any money, but they have like a tiny little piece of land. And these are the happiest people, like the greatest people on the planet. Like when you go there and you leave, like you leave a different person, because these are the greatest human beings ever. Like they're humble, you know, they treat everybody with love and respect, and they have a connection with the land, and they eat the greatest food ever, you know, like, and I think that fine dining restaurants, which is kind of ironic, are moving towards that, you know, where like, you know, exactly where everything's coming from and everything is done the way that it's always been done, you know, like the way that grandma did it always, you know.
That's a good point, because I've always mentioned to him, I'm like, you realize that anybody that lives in those areas, whether it's from Asia or Mexico and South, like I always base it off because my grandpa, and I always like, dude, you're 98 years old, you're strong. Like, dude, he walks all the time, and I'm like, dude, in the U.S., a lot of times you're like 50, and it's like, you know, but it's because it's everything's from, they grow their own crops, todo. Everything they eat, it's from there.
Yeah.
And they're active, they're walking, they live basically, they're free, you know. And I think that's a big difference.
Oh, I love what you just said. They are free. That's what I'm trying to do here. Although like I don't have the power to make that a reality, but I'm trying step by step. Is like helping people be more free, you know, to do what they love, you know. And so that has to do with money, like money education. We need to learn how to manage money, which I'm not very good at, so I can't teach it. We need to learn how to eat well, you know, like I can teach that. And we need to learn to have a community, because that's important. Like in order to live to 100 and be in good shape, you have to eat good food. It doesn't mean having any type of diet. It just means eating real food, like eating real veggies from a real farm and eating a real animal that did what that animal was supposed to do. And you got to have a community. You got to have friends. You know, you got to laugh with people. Your stress levels have to be really low. You know, that's how you make it to be really old. It's like you just have a chill life. Like every day, like these campesinos that I'm talking about, like they move their cows from this pasture to that pasture, and then they eat some food, and then they go drink some beer at night with their friends, you know, and they laugh. And they do that always. And like a lot of them smoke cigarettes and drink a lot of alcohol, but they make it to 100 just fine.
They're doing
because
something right.
yeah, because they're laughing and they're eating good
Yeah.
food.
I think it's that. I think
Yeah.
it has to do that because, you know, he so he eats healthy, but he drinks. Mexico eats a lot of drinks a lot of soda, Coke.
Yep.
So he drinks a lot of Coke, and I was like, you know, because when he comes over and he visits us, he's like Coke.
Yeah.
But he's strong. I'm like, damn, dude, you know. But it's I think it's the food, walking a lot, just hanging out with friends and all that family.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is too. I saw a video of this a guy, Cuban guy, and he was like 103, and he was still walking around and everything, and they asked him what the secret was, and he said that one cold shower every morning, and then a Coke, a can of Coke a day, and a cigar. Was his answer. Those were his three secrets of living to that age and still
Yeah.
being active and everything.
That's awesome.
So it's crazy. Yeah, my grandma, dude. I think it's just a cultural thing too. My grandma, she drinks so much Coke, dude, for everything. But like they, for some reason, maybe it's because I drink so many energy drinks. But they're like, oh, I can't drink a Coke past like 6 o'clock, or I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep. I'm like, man, I'll drink a energy drink with like 250 milligrams of caffeine right before bed, and I'll still sleep like a baby. Like I don't know, but yeah, that's what they're used to. Dude, going back a little bit to the cows, I saw a video of these like super expensive like Wagyu Japanese cows that dude, they get massages every day.
The what?
The cows.
The cows?
Yeah, they get like an hour-long massage. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
How much are those cows? That's like a stupid crazy price tag.
It's very expensive. I bought a tenderloin that's an A5 Wagyu certified from Japan. So it's a cut of meat. It's about this big. And when you buy it, they give you a certificate that's been signed, and it's been, you know how you do like your thumbprint? They do the thumbprint of the cow's nose on this document to certify that it's the real deal. So you don't just buy it at the store, you buy it directly from Japan. And that thing was like $2,000 for one thing of meat.
Dang.
I think that was the first video that I ever made. Was
Oh, really?
With that, yeah. And it's looks so bad when I watch it now. Like it sounds terrible. It's so dark. Like it just looks like crap. Is the word, which is so sad because I have these really expensive, beautiful thing that I wish I had a nice video for it, but instead, like no one's gonna watch it because it's just the worst.
Dang.
Oh, it's insane. It's you don't want to eat a lot of it. If you eat a lot of it, you get really sick because it's so fatty. It has more fat than meat. So it's like butter. Like when you're cutting into these steaks, it feels just like you're slicing through butter. What I started doing with that one is I started slicing it and just eating it raw, like straight, like put a little bit of salt on it and then just eat raw beef. But it's mostly fat. So it just melts in your mouth. It's like butter that tastes really strongly like beef. It's like the greatest thing in the world. And so you cut it and you cook it, and it's super crazy fatty. And if you eat too much, you just feel sick because it's too much.
Is that good for you?
That is arguable.
Because I don't think it's bad for you, but would it like help your system in some way, or is it just taste good?
I think more than anything, it tastes good.
Okay.
It's not necessarily bad because it's actually mostly monounsaturated fats. Like the way that they get cows really fat in the U.S., like when you buy a cut like a ribeye and it's super fatty, which is delicious, but it's really bad because the way that they get these cows to be fat is they feed them a bunch of corn and soy, which is not natural for them. So then they become really fat. And so this fat is not healthy fat. Wagyu, I don't know the exact details, but I know the fat in Wagyu beef, like that fancy beef, is more monounsaturated, which is a healthier fat. So I don't know if it's necessarily good for you. I don't know if it's bad for you. The good thing about meat is that unlike like junk food, when you're eating junk food, like you can't stop eating, right? If you open a bag of chips or something, like you just want to keep eating it. And you can probably continue to eat it forever. Like if the bag was big enough, you can just keep doing it, right? Because it's delicious and you just can't help it. But with beef, this is the really good thing. This is why I think the carnivore diet is so like popular now, is because with beef, like your body wants to stop at some point, you know. So it's good for you. Like you can lose weight, and there's a lot of benefits to it. Very healing, is because beef tells you when to stop. Like you just couldn't keep eating a steak. You'll eat it and you love it, and at some point you're like, I think I'm good, and it's easier to stop. And with Wagyu, you want to stop really soon. Like you don't want to eat a whole steak, you can't. So you eat like
Like,
4
yeah.
ounces, like half of a steak, and that's enough. But it really is an experience that is unlike anything on the planet. It's so good because it just melts. It's crazy. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I would try it.
So the reason why they say según que they like massage the cows is because they say that a cow that doesn't stress a lot it has like better meat, but when it stresses, what does it do to the meat when a cow stresses?
I don't know exactly, but it's just more tension. You know,
Mhm.
like if you're like us, when we're stressed out, usually we're like, we notice that like we're like, keeping that energy. That's how these animals feel all the time. And so when that's happening, your brain is releasing all this anxiety and all these like negative things, and then we end up eating that.
Mhm.
So if you have an animal that's just super chilled and it's like, oh yeah, rub me over here, and they're like super happy, their brains are releasing like these happy hormones. And so the idea is that when you're eating that meat, you're eating really good meat. This is why wild meat is really good because they're out in nature and they're just doing what nature meant for them to do. And then you shoot them real quick. They don't even notice, ideally, right? Because if you shoot them and they don't die, and then you kind
Yeah.
of screw that up. But uh, if you're a really talented hunter and you can get it in one go and then they go down, this meat is super high quality because it's an animal that had a great diet, that was never really scared, that never had anxiety like all the meat that you get from the store.
Yeah.
Have you ever had deer or elk meat?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you? What's your opinion on it? Which one do you like better? Or?
I love all of them. I have a bunch of venison, deer, and a bunch of elk in my freezer that I get. I get a lot of it from different places, but now lately my sister has a neighbor that goes hunting all the time, and they have way too much meat, and so they give it to her, and now she has way too much meat. So then I'll trade with her. Like she'll give me elk, and I'll give her like part of a cow or pork, or the ones that I have. It's amazing. It's super healthy. It's lean. It's just when you look at it, it's just like bright red, beautiful, and it tastes incredible. You got to cook it slightly different because it's not fatty. It can get chewy if you don't do it right. So you got to understand that. But it's really good. Like everyone should eat some wild game. Super healthy.
I need to try that. I've had elk jerky,
Hmm.
but I haven't had it like in beef or something like
Mhm.
I haven't had it like in a burger or something like that.
It's
or soup
really
or
good.
anything like that. I have
Uh,
to try it.
My favorite meat right now is yak meat.
Yak.
Yeah.
What is yak?
So it kind of looks like a cow, but it has huge horns and long hair, like really long hair. So it's like a buffalo kind of. And they're, I think, originally from Tibet, from like those countries where like they live at like super high elevations, and they're part of the culture. And they decorate them. Like if you Google a picture of them, they're really beautiful. They decorate them with beads and like different colors, and they're these beautiful animals. And I met somebody I think they're in Corvallis that that's the animal that they're racing. And so I started buying yak from him. I need to order more. It's really good. It's closer to elk than it is to beef, but it's like somewhere in the middle. It's really nice.
What's your favorite meat?
I don't know, dude.
My neighbor buys goats from this guy in Turner, and she makes it's like menudo, but with goat. Bro, fire! This like the best soup I've ever
Really?
had in my life. Dude, for
Interesting.
hangovers,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the best.
I bet.
You know one thing? I've never liked menudo.
You've never.
Oh man, it's so
Menudo's
good.
the
I've only
best,
had it
man.
once, and I was like, nah, not for me.
You probably wouldn't like the goat menudo then,
No.
because it's really similar to the regular menudo.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I didn't know
Yeah.
I like goat. That was the first time I had goat, and she made it into that soup, and I'm like in love with that.
Yeah, goat is
Yes.
great.
My favorite now.
Yeah.
But they're saying that there's like different goats.
Yeah.
And like there's the goats that have like the what is it? Cotton, not cotton, but fur. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
But they say that those are not really that good for cooking or for meat, I guess. And they say that the other one that doesn't have that is like the really really good goat. I believe I could be wrong, but that's what they were saying, that the soup doesn't taste the same. I don't know, but the goat, I'm like, damn, that was the best.
That's really good. I
Yeah.
get a lot of goat. I eat a lot of goat and everything. Like the goat ribs are really good. The loin is really good. Like just the leg meat is really good. Like they call it the osobuco when they cut across the bone. So you have bone in the middle and meat around it. You can braise that. That's amazing. Yeah, goat is great. I don't know why goat is not a more popular meat
It
in
should
the
be.
U.S. It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an animal that's good for the farm. Like they do a lot of good things for the farm, so it's good to have. And then when they start getting old, you just eat them. You
Yep.
know?
A couple questions. So I know that um that you've done a lot of cooking for athletes, and nutrition is like a big part of like their everyday meals, right? So I want to know what your opinion is on a couple things. Like we were just talking about like the meat, the what did you say it was called, the meat diet, when they only eat
Carnivore.
carnivore diet, and then also your thoughts on Liver King.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Liver King, but so yeah, I've been cooking for professional athletes like NBA players, NFL players, um, and it really depends. Most of the time when I meet them, they're eating junk food because they're really young. They're 20, 21. They have millions of dollars in their bank account, and they just eat whatever they want. Most of the time, that's what happens. So they have, if you go through the kitchen, they have Oreos and like Capri Sun and Coca Cola. Like they just don't care, because at that age, it doesn't matter. Like you can eat rat poison probably, and they're so athletic that they'll probably be fine. You know, like they can take a beating. Uh, but once they start to get older, and they're like, "Oh crap, I don't know what is happening." Those athletes, like I had an NFL player that I was cooking for that he's getting older. He really cares about his nutrition because now he understands that his body is not 21 anymore. You know, so I had a nutritionist that I would work with. So every week they would take his blood or whatever, and they'd be like, okay, we think that based on the workouts that he's going to be doing this week and based on his blood, he should be consuming more fats, and he should be intermittent fasting. So don't do any food until noon. And like for some athletes, that's huge. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell the young athletes that they should eat like the old athletes, because then they're going to be that much better. You know, like if you always take care of your body, if you always eat the best, plus everything that they do is amazing. Like these NBA players get up super early in the morning and they work out. They have like insane workouts, you know, for I don't know how many hours in the morning, like 4 hours, something like that. And then they rest, like they fully rest. And that's the best thing that you can do, because you work out until your body is all beat up. And then you just like, you go home and play video games. That's pretty much what all these basketball players do. If you add that, or if you add nutrition to that, then your body's going to be like the best of the best, you know. But most of them don't understand that until like you have to explain it to them. So that's part of my job, is to kind of show them the way, you know, because most people in this country don't know anything about nutrition, like including doctors, including nutritionists, you know. So I try to educate them on that. So that's one thing. And then the carnivore diet, I'm a big fan of the carnivore diet, and it's because when you start eating only meat, you eliminate all the junk food. That's really what is so good about it. Meat is really good for you. You have all the amino acids and everything that your body needs. So if you're gonna eat only one thing, eating meat is probably the best thing that you can eat. You know, some people do it for years and years and years. I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, so whatever answer I'm giving you, just take it with a grain of salt. I think it's really good if like somebody's experiencing some type of health problems. Going carnivore is really good because it eliminates everything, and now you're eating only one thing. And if it's high quality meat, it's going to be really good for you. So it will help. You know, like it will help you lose weight. It'll help you if you have headaches. Like it's been shown that it helps with all kinds of stuff, like autoimmune disorders. It's really good. So like when I feel like my health is really terrible, I go either on a ketogenic diet or carnivore as much as I possibly.
What is I guess what is carnivore diet?
Just
or-
meat.
Okay.
Yeah, so you no plant anything, and there's different ways that you can different descriptions, I guess. One is they call the lion diet, which is only red meat, water, and salt. That's it. So like what a lion would eat. So it's like goat or lamb or steaks, water, and salt. That's it. That's the most extreme of all of them. And then you can also add eggs. You could add butter, yogurt, because all these things come from animals. So that would be like another level, different way of doing it. Like my doctor, when I started doing it, he would put me on a 1 month carnivore, and his first week is just meat, salt, water. The second week, you add butter or eggs, one or the other. the third week, you add whatever the one of those two, egg or butter. And then the fourth week, you add cheese. And then after that, you can eat whatever. But it's like a good therapeutic thing to like get your body to reset and you start feeling better. Like you sleep better. It's just really good all around. And then, or ketosis, which is also another really good diet that helps with a lot of things. And it's just super low carbs. And your body starts to produce ketones. Your liver produces ketones that run through your blood. And those ketones teach your cells how to use energy more efficiently or waste energy, which helps. So when you do eat carbs, your body knows how to utilize those carbs better. So overall, it's just good for you to go into ketosis every once in a while. Like, ideally, you would go into nutritional ketosis, or this is what do they call that? It's flexibility of like teaching your body how to go back between consuming carbs and running just on carbs, and going back to just eating fats and consuming fats. So not just eating fats, but mostly or a lot of fats, a huge percentage of your diet through fats, and then running efficiently on fats. That would be a metabolic flexibility. That's what you ideally want, is to eat, to be able to go back and forth between ketosis and ketosis. Does that make sense?
Run me through. So if you start the carnivore diet, then run me through what your week would look like. Are you meal prepping the beginning of the week, or is it fresh every day? You just pull it out of the freezer and cook it up right then and there, or how does that work for you?
It depends. Usually once a week, I would go through my freezer and pull out all the meat that I need for the week. And that could be like fish, chicken, pork, ground beef, ribeyes, like whatever you got. And I don't like to eat in the morning, so I wait until noon. And sometimes I do one meal. Sometimes I do two meals when I'm going through this. And so say at 1 in the afternoon and then at 5 p.m. or whatever, those are my two meals. If it's a steak, then I just cook it right there and then. If it's ground beef, same thing. If I know that my week is going to be kind of crazy, I would cook a lot of ground beef and then cool it down and put it in jars. Like one thing that I do when I'm doing this is I eat cold meat. So like I'll cook a bunch of ground beef and then put it in a jar. And then if I have to drive somewhere, like I just eat it ground beef cold with, which works great. And it's really good, especially for like if you're trying to eat a lot of fat, because eating fat when it's cold, it's easier for whatever reason. Like it gets hard. It's like eating butter as opposed to like chewy parts when it's hot. And if it's like a cut of meat, like I don't know, like the leg, any muscle in the leg is pretty chewy, I would braise that. So if I'm just doing carnivore, then I just add a little bit of water, put it in a pressure cooker, and then just let it get soft. And then I would cool it down and put it in the fridge. It helps a lot if you plan it. Mm-hmm. But it's easy because all you're eating is meat. So you don't have to think about going grocery shopping as long as you have meat. And you know that some cuts are tough, so you have to cook them slow or in a pressure cooker. Some cuts you can just do really quickly.
Yeah.
That works.
Would you think you'd be able to do that, dude?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I think that'd be interesting.
You feel so good.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Question: do you eat shrimp?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you've been talking about a lot of steak and meat, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you do seafood at all.
Yeah, I love seafood.
Okay.
But same thing. Like if I'm consuming seafood, it has to come from the Oregon coast. And shrimp, there's no shrimp here. So there's one company that's called Del Pacifico, which is the only sustainable shrimp company on the planet. So if I'm gonna eat shrimp, it comes from them, and it's good. I love shrimp.
Is that from Newport or where's that company?
I think they have a couple of places.
Yeah?
I think that I don't know exactly, but I think there's one in the Gulf somewhere, and then I think there's one in like Baja, California. I want to say. I could be wrong about this.
Yeah, I see.
That'd be interesting. We keep saying that we're gonna go deep sea fishing.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get one of those charters that did it. How long have we been saying this? 3-4 years?
Oh man, you gotta set it up.
I know. I'm gonna set it up because originally I think he was supposed to set it up.
No,
and then the other guy was
I
supposed
don't
to set it up.
I don't know how to swim. I don't like the water, so I'm not gonna set it up. I'll go, but
I don't know.
It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I bet.
You been?
One time.
Yeah. Oh,
And I got so sick.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the worst.
Damn.
I got so sick.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's unique. It's really scary. So it's cool because you're facing your fears. You know, like you go on a boat so far that you don't see land anymore. That's pretty scary. But these people know what they're doing. They do it every day. You know, I have a friend that is doing it all the time. He owns a restaurant in a fish market, so he's always doing it, and he's just it's like every day for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it scares the crap out of me. And this June, I'm gonna go to Alaska and I'm gonna go fishing there, and that's super scary for me, but it's awesome because it's like the best fish ever.
That is awesome.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see those videos.
Yeah, that's the goal. Like my goal now is to just film everything that I'm doing, and all of it is food related. You know, so
Yeah.
I think it should be popular.
That's
Hopefully,
Heck yeah. So let's go to like video. When did you start doing video content?
I started thinking about it when COVID started, because I've been cooking always. I've been cooking for 20 plus years. That's all I've done. It's the only way that I've ever made money is cooking. And one of those things that I was doing is I was teaching mostly at-risk youth, like young, like teenagers that are angry, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that don't really have a plan with their lives. I was doing that a lot. I still do that with EcoTrust in Portland. And so I hang out with these kids that are amazing because they're like, they remind me of me when I was that age, you know, like I was just an angry kid that had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I hang out with these kids and I teach them how to cook, but I also teach them about life. Like I just talk to them essentially. I listen to them and I talk to them. And then in that process, during that time, we cook something together and then we eat together. And I love doing that. That's like my favorite thing to do ever, probably out of all things. If I had all the money in the world, I would probably do that
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And so when COVID started, like all my business ended, like everything ended for me because food related, you know, that was the end of that. And I thought, oh well, I love teaching so much. What if I started teaching through video? You know, like what would that look like? And I thought that it was very easy. I was like, oh, just get an iPhone and then I just do it and then that's it, you know. And so I started doing that. I picked up an iPhone. I started filming myself. And first of all, it's really hard to talk to a camera and like sound natural. So the only way to get over that is by doing it and doing it and doing it. And eventually, like you lose that awkwardness. Uh, but so I started with a phone, and then I never published anything because it just looked like crap. You know, you cannot film something with a phone and make it look good. Like that's
Mhm.
impossible unless you have a lot of beautiful lights and you understand light. Then maybe you can. Uh, and yeah, I just kept studying how to do it better. So I would make a little video and I would watch it and I would hate it. And then I would be like, okay, so then I would learn another technique and film another video and just do that over and over and over again. And then slowly I started buying better equipment, like a better camera and a better lens and better lights. And yeah, and I've been filming and editing like I think every single day since I picked up a camera for the first time. And I love it. And now I feel like I know a lot, you know, but I'm still a beginner. It's been 2 years since I picked up a camera for the
Mhm.
first time, but I love it and I want to continue to get better and better. Um, and I'm just gonna keep doing it.
What do you think the hardest part of creating a video is, from like coming up with an idea to like getting the audio right, the lighting right? What do you think the hardest part to learn was?
Um, I mean, all of it is tricky, and you just learn it by repetition, by doing it. I think the hardest thing, which I'm just starting to learn, is to tell the story. Because nobody cares about if the video looks great or doesn't. Like you can 100% do it with your phone, and and blow up. Like you can go viral with your phone every time. Sound is hugely important. Like no one's gonna watch a video that sounds like, nobody likes that. So it has to sound somewhat decent. But it's all about the story, and that's the hardest part to understand. Because when I started making videos, I wanted to make cool videos, and so it was like I was thinking about me when I was making the video. Like I wanted people to think I'm cool because I'm making a cool video. But the reality is that nobody cares if my videos are cool. No one's gonna watch them because nobody cares. You know, people only care about things that make them either feel good or teach them something or inspire them. So that's the hardest part. Is like if you want to actually succeed with social media, like become an influencer or whatever, like you have to do one of those things. You have to inspire, you have to teach, or you have to entertain. And that's really hard because you got to look deep inside and be like, okay, am I good at something? Can I actually teach something? Or am I really funny? Or like, what is it that I
Mm.
need to focus on to get better at so I can have success? Um, and I'm just starting to learn that because Like I've been cooking my entire life. And when I picked up a camera, I thought this is what's going to get me out of cooking. Like finally I'm going to stop cooking. That's what I thought. And so I started making like little videos about other things. But there were other things that I wasn't passionate about. There were other things that I didn't know anything about. But I learned to film doing those other things. And now I'm realizing that the thing that I've been doing forever is cooking. So I should just make cooking videos because that's the thing that I actually know. It's the only thing that I have legitimacy in is cooking. So why would I want to stop doing that? And I'm learning how to tell a story better. Like I'm learning how to inspire people through a video. I'm learning like all these things. So I think that's the hardest part. It's like figuring out what it is that you can do better than other people. Or even if you don't do it better than other people, something that you're really passionate about that you're okay doing over and over and over again. Like my goal is to cook for my family every day. Like I want to be a good dad. That's really my biggest goal in life. Like I want them to think that I'm a cool human, right? So I have to spend a lot of time with them. So I'm trying to create a business that prioritizes me hanging out with my kids. You know, like I don't want to grow a business that makes a lot of money, but I don't see my kids. You know, that's not what I want. I want to see my kids. And even if I'm broke all the time, as long as I can cover my bills, I'm happy because the goal is to hang out with my kids. And so it's just slowly happening that my job now, even though I'm at the very, very beginning of this, I'm still not making any money, is I cook for my kids and my wife every day. But now I film it and I set up cool lights and I try to make it look cool. And I cook whatever I'm cooking normally. Like I'm not thinking like I'm gonna make a pizza today. Like that's not how I'm thinking. It's just whatever I got in the freezer, whatever I was gonna cook that day, whatever my farmer has, that's what I'm cooking. I'm filming it and I edit that video, and then lately I've been just putting a voiceover on top of the video, which makes it easy or easier. And then I just put it out to the world. And so the goal is that eventually it's starting to happen, but brands want to pay me to be part of those videos. So now I'm creating a business that is like my job in my business is to cook for my kids. I just have to film it and edit it, you know? So it's really cool because hopefully, ideally, I'm going to be making money doing the thing that means the most to me, which is being a good dad, you know? But it's not easy, you know? Like it takes a long time to do it. But I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'm committed to it and I'm doing it. And like
it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You're gonna win always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hopefully.
yeah, I mean, you're doing what you love. I mean, you're doing that, and eventually, if someone comes to you like, "Hey, we'll pay you," then I mean, that's gonna be enough, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I feel like if anybody wants to succeed doing social media, like what I'm trying to do, it really just takes, like I heard somebody say this, you just got to get up every day and do the exact same thing every day. Like pick a topic that you love and you're passionate about, and then just do that thing every single day and talk about it, post it. So like you can either write it, like use Twitter or whatever, or you can make a video, you can do a selfie with your phone, like just talk about your topic every single day for the rest of your life. That's what you got to do. And then if you do that, all these platforms are going to reward you for doing it all the time. And then your face is going to become famous because every time, like if you love tacos and you talk about tacos every single day, and you do that every day, a year from now, you have 365 videos about tacos. So thousands, if not millions of people, when they think of tacos, they think of you. And so now taco companies are sending you free taco things to make more tacos or whatever. And then all of a sudden you became an authority. You're like the taco guy, you know? And then brands want to send you money and send you things. And then you're doing the thing you love, you know? Like whatever. The thing that you're passionate about, just do it every single day and share that. And so I'm passionate about local agriculture, you know? Like I consider myself to be a rebellious, like, you know, I'm all about giving power to my community. So I'm trying to generate some money and pump it back into my community, give it to my people. And so we become strong. All of us become strong. And so I talk about that while I'm cooking. And I'm hoping that message will resonate. And I think it will because I'm just going to do it every day.
Yeah.
You know, so people will start to see my face and recognize it with those topics, and the platforms hopefully will start to share that with people that believe in what I believe in. And sooner than later, you know, somebody will pay me.
Yeah, it's just a repetitive process. The more they see you, I mean, it just goes back to back in the day. how movie stars or anybody, when there was only TV, the more you see them, you recognize them, subconsciously recognize them or not. That's how they get famous, and that's how social media works now. I mean, you perfect example about tacos. How many people go and talk about something, and every day, you recognize them. You may follow them or not. It doesn't matter. You will eventually recognize them. It's just the subconscious will pick it up, and
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, you can make
So-
yourself famous.
Mhm.
That's a game. It's a game you're playing, but you don't do it by changing your topic. Like today, I talk about tacos. Tomorrow, I talk about tamales. I mean, maybe you can do it within food because it's the same category. But I couldn't talk about like bowling and then bow hunting, and because then it's just
All
you
over
know,
the place.
yeah, the algorithm doesn't know what I'm trying to do, so it just doesn't show my stuff to anyone. But if when you talk about one thing, then all those platforms they know who to show your stuff to, you know, and so then you make yourself famous, and then when you're famous, which is not hard to do, all you got to do is film yourself every day for a year, and then you're famous. It's all it takes. And then companies notice that you have a following, and so they're like, now we want to pay this person because he's got all. Everyone that loves tacos watches these dudes' videos, and I have a company that I'm making a new type of tortilla that's better. So I want to pay you to talk about my tortilla because I'm gonna sell more of that because you have an audience, you know. So like that's the game that we're playing. It's like how do we make
Exactly.
ourselves famous? Like you got to make yourself an authority. Like you have to be. Like what I want is when people think about sustainability and health and food, they think about me. That's what I want to do. And the only way to get there is just talking about those topics every single day, making videos every single day. And then eventually that will be the case, you know. So, but you got to be patient. You got to learn how to film. You got to learn a little bit about audio and lighting and storytelling. And so you got to be always learning and trying to improve your skill. And that's it, you know. Like Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber on the planet, he just says, make another video, make it better. That's it. And now he's Mr. Beast. Like he proved that
Yeah, yeah.
his works, you know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's insane.
He's insane.
That's an
Yeah.
insane amount of views.
Yeah, he's the king.
Yeah.
You can't argue.
You cannot argue that.
Yeah.
No. Since you cook for your kids every day, I'm assuming are they picky eaters?
No.
No. So, but do you have any advice for parents that have like picky eater kids to try to make them eat a little bit better?
Yes, for sure. I want to make a video about this,
I think,
but it's a really touchy topic, you know, because nobody wants to be told how to be a parent. Like, I don't want anybody to tell me that I'm doing it wrong or that their way is better. So I have to be super careful not to do that. My kids eat everything for a lot of reasons. One, because I'm excited about food. And so they grew up in a household where I'm excited about, like, if I get beautiful veggies, I'm excited. I'm not faking it. Like, I'm like, look at these fucking broccoli, so beautiful, you know? So then they see that. And so automatically their brains go, oh, cool, broccoli's exciting, I guess, you know? And so they try it. They don't have that bias. Like, my kids don't watch TV, for example. We don't own a TV. So when a kid is watching TV and in every cartoon show they say broccoli's gross, then the kid's going to think broccoli's gross, you know? So, like, you're fighting against society. Society is telling you that veggies are gross. So you're fighting that, you know? So step one is remove your kids from that part of society as much as possible. But it's very difficult. Two is, like, if you don't eat the thing and you don't love the thing, then don't expect your kids to eat the thing. You know, like if I ever say, oh, I don't like mushrooms, then most likely my kids are not going to eat mushrooms, you know? So being really careful about that. Like when you're feeding them and you're like, you know, if your kid says, oh, I really don't like mushrooms, for example, and then you reinforce that, so then you don't give them the mushrooms next time, then now they for sure are not going to like mushrooms. Like my little boy, he always says he doesn't like mushrooms, but I cook mushrooms all the time. And I make them eat the mushrooms,
Yeah.
you know? I'm like, you're going to get mushrooms and you're going to eat them. And for me, it started the whole, like, kids eating everything is that I think that when somebody cooks for somebody else, you're showing them love. Like, that is the deepest way of showing somebody that you care about them is you cook for them. And if you respond with, like, ugh, I don't like this, like, it's like you're stabbing them right in the heart. And so I think about my grandma. Like, when my grandma cooks, she's 98. When she cooks, she puts her entire soul and life and everything into what she's making. and it's delicious. And if my kids are eating my grandma's food and they go, oh, I don't like this, like my grandma, her heart's gonna be broken, you know. So for me, it was a big deal. Like my kids have to eat everything always, period, because they're not gonna do that to my grandma, you know. And we eat all kinds of stuff at my house too. Like we change it up all the time, you know. So they're used to that. And sometimes it was hard. Like sometimes they were like, I really don't like this, you know. And so it can go both ways. Like if I sit there and I force them to eat it, it's not gonna work. That's the worst thing you can do. But if I say, okay, then I'll just make you some chicken nuggets, then that's also the worst thing you can do. So the most effective thing you can do is somewhere in the middle. You know, like I don't, when we go to a restaurant, like they don't order from the kids menu because the kids menu is garbage. It's food that's just so bad for you, you know. So I don't let them do that. They have to order from the adult menu, or I share what I'm eating. So I guess the long answer to your question is that there's not one way you can do it, and every kid is different. Some kids naturally are going to want to try things, and some kids naturally just don't want to try things. So I don't know. I can talk about this topic forever.
I find that interesting. I agree. I agree with that because like my my daughter, she's 4, and if we make something and she doesn't want to eat that, then my wife's like, "Oh, I can't let her not eat. I have to make her chicken nuggets because I know she'll eat the chicken nuggets." But you're right. Like you're feeding into that, so she knows that next time she doesn't have to try it. If she doesn't want,
Yeah.
if she feels like she doesn't want to try it, she's not gonna try it because my mom and dad will just make me chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like for us, if somebody's like, look, I can just give you beer, only beer, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take the beer every time. You know, like I'm going to stop eating, just drink beer because that's the thing that makes me feel the best, you know? It's natural. And so I'm never going to pick the other thing because if I'm like, when you have kids and then you start feeding them these things that are like drugs, essentially, like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, these are drugs for kids, you know? Then of course they're going to choose the drug,
Yeah.
you know, over the other thing. So, you know, not to say like don't feed your kids chicken nuggets. That's the thing. It's like there's no right answer, you know, but you just have to be mindful that if you start feeding them only that, then that's all they're going to eat. And there's no nutrition in those things. So eventually they're going to get older and they're going to be sick because we didn't force them or encourage them to eat better things. But it starts with us eating better things. You know, like if I'm eating fast food every day, I can't ask my kids to eat a salad. You know, like they're going to eat whatever I'm eating for the most part, you know? So there's something that I heard this in a university commencement speech on YouTube a long time ago. And I don't know the person that was giving the speech, but I wish I did because I want to give him credit. But it's a phrase that like changed my life. He said, what you have to do, because your kids don't listen to what you're saying. Like your kids don't learn from what you tell them to do. They learn from what they see you do. You know what I mean? Like you can tell them all day long to clean the room, but if your room is messy, they're not going to ever do it. They learn what they see you do. So this guy said, what you have to do is you have to make sure that they catch you in the act of excellence, always. And then they're going to be excellent. You know what I mean? So instead of like focusing on telling them what to do, you work on you becoming the best that you possibly can. So like if in your household you start switching from fast food to, you know, even one meal a week, you buy a nice steak and some nice veggies and you eat that and you do it, then you have a better chance at them actually following in your footsteps because they see that you're making this effort. They see that you're going to feel better after you eat that than if you eat something that's not good. Like that's your best chance at succeeding. It's just leading by example.
Yeah. I agree with that. Question: what is something you don't eat that you're like, no, I'm not gonna eat that. I don't. You know.
I mean, it's pretty simple for me. I eat real food. If it's real food, I eat it. If it's not real food, I don't eat it. So I don't eat anything that came in a bag.
Okay.
I don't eat anything that has ingredient lists. If it has ingredients on the box, it's not real food. It's like some crazy thing that's not good for me, you know. And I'm super obsessed with learning about ingredients and stuff that they put in food. That's so terrible. And like the reason why everyone is sick these days, like everyone's getting cancer super young, and every person has Alzheimer's, you know, past 60, and like the reason why everyone's getting really sick It's for a lot of reasons. First of all, probably because we're stressed out all the time. Like in our society, we're just, either we have debt or something. Like they keep us scared somehow, so we're always stressed out, and that makes us sick. But also because we're consuming mostly foods that are not foods. Like I, I like thinking that if I'm gonna go grocery shopping, the only foods that I'm gonna eat are the foods that my great grandma would recognize as foods. And so she would only recognize meat, veggies, and grains and legumes. So like she would recognize beans, rice, beef, chicken, whatever, and veggies. That's it. She would not recognize a box of anything, So that's the rule that we have in my house. Like we don't buy anything that has an ingredient list. It has to be real food. And so I think that within real food, you can eat whatever you want. Like you can eat a giant burger that's all greasy and it's got like these, bacon and whatever you want, and it can be super healthy, but it cannot come from the store, because if you eat like ground beef from the store, that was an animal that was a sad animal that was anxious all the time, that just horrible, that was fed all types of nasty chemicals, terrible. So that's not good for you. Same with the bacon. That was a pig that was super unhappy, anxious, terrible. The mayonnaise you're going to put on it, if you buy it from the store, it has a bunch of seed oils that are disgusting. It has all kinds of stuff that's super bad for you. All these like gum, guar gum, xanthan gum, like all those things are terrible for you. And the lettuce and the tomatoes were sprayed with glyphosates, all types of nasty chemicals, grown on soil that nobody cares about, so there's no nutrition left in that soil. So that's why a burger is gross. And the bread, if you buy bread for a burger at this store, it comes with 30 different ingredients that are super terrible for you. Like there's I forget the name of the chemical, but the thing that they use in yoga mats to make them soft, they use that same ingredient in bread to make it soft.
Yeah.
So that's why a burger that if you put it together from the store, it's not good for you. But you can eat a burger that is like the same, fatty with mayonnaise, with all that, with healthy ingredients. So you buy grass-fed, grass-finished beef. That's super good for you. You buy bacon from a farm that you know from somewhere in your area. That's super good for you because it's just meat and it's fatty meat. And consuming fat is actually good for you, assuming that it's healthy fat. Bread, you can get it from Eugene. There's a place in Eugene called Camas Country. They grow all the wheat there organically, and it's super high quality. You can buy the wheat berries, you grind them up, you make your own bread with super high quality wheat. So now the bread is not 27 nasty ingredients. It's just water, salt, and flour. So it's really good for you. And mayonnaise, you use healthy oil and eggs and a splash of vinegar and salt. So it's the same thing. If you look at them, they're two burgers, but one of them has like 100 ingredients. Half of them cause cancer. And then the other one is just you made it, came from your community. It's super good. That's another thing that I want to start exploring with the videos, is showing people you can eat hot dogs, you can eat burgers, you can eat pizza, you can eat pasta, you can eat all the things that you want to eat. Ice cream, like all those things can be healthy as long as you know where they're coming from. If they don't have a bunch of weird ingredients, they're fine. Even ice cream is just cream, eggs, and sugar. So if you source high quality sugar, which is really hard to find, and you have local eggs and local cream, ice cream is actually super good for you. So it's a different way of thinking.
And I think that's a good point. I think that's where the disconnect is, because you would think, oh, burger, it's unhealthy for you. But I mean, the way you put it, if you have everything that's good, then it's not, it's good for you, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So
that's what I want. I want to teach people, like, you want to eat healthy, but you still want to eat a burger. You can do both.
Exactly.
Like eat whatever you want. And also, I don't want to come across as judgmental. Like I'm telling people that they should do this or not do that. Like I'm nobody to tell people what to.
That's just what you believe in, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's a good perspective, good way to see it. So, which I didn't see it that way, but
I definitely didn't see that
that's
way.
good.
But like, how long would it take you to make a healthy burger?
That's a trick right there. Well, a lot longer, because you gotta
Make the bread.
You gotta make the bread or source the bread from a place you trust. So that's the thing. That's the next level. It's like you should give your money to people you trust. So if we support, but it's tricky, right? Like finding somebody that's making real bread, it's really hard. So all the bread from the store, like next time you go to the store, look at the back, look at all the ingredients, and then look up what those ingredients are. They're not good, And that's 99.9% of everything out there. So first you have to find somebody that's making real bread, or make it yourself. And then same with the meat. You have to find somebody that has a farm and has cows that are happy, and so it's harder. But I would argue that doing something that is harder has more meaning and it makes you happier than if you just go through a drive-through. Like we are depressed and we feel like shit all the time because everything is so easy. Like, just go through a drive-through, you get this shitty burger, you eat it, you feel like shit, and then you start to not like yourself because you're like, what am I doing with my life? I'm just eating garbage in my car and I'm unhappy. But if you're like, I'm gonna make a fucking awesome burger and I'm gonna go to this farm and I'm gonna meet my farmer and I'm gonna go walk around and like learn where my beef is coming from, and then I come home and I shape the patty and then you learn how to cook it, and when you're eating that burger you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, like I feel like I'm powerful because I just went through all this and it was really hard, but I'm eating the burger that I love so much and it's super good for me. I don't have no guilt whatsoever that I'm eating this. And like little by little you get stronger because you're like, I'm doing these things that are difficult, and healthy, and just win-win.
How long does it take you to make dinner for your family?
It depends. It's actually pretty quick, but now I'm filming it almost every time, so it takes me forever because first I got to set up the cameras, and I always try to do different lighting styles. Like this, I don't want to just set up the lights and leave them exactly the same. So I'm always moving lights around and being like, oh, what happens if the shadow comes from here? What happens if I put a light like right underneath me, behind me, and like it creates a glow around me? So I waste a lot of time trying to make it look cool and different. But the actual cooking is easy because like I just cook meat and veggies. So like that part takes no time at all. Unless I'm cooking a meat that's tough that needs to cook for a long time. But other than that, like, like the average person could eat the greatest food ever, super healthy, like the best of the best of the best, in 15 to 20 minutes. Like that's how long it takes to make a super high quality dinner. So you're just gonna sear some meat and saute some veggies. It takes no time at all.
So, what do you got going on for 2024?
I am trying to minimize my life as much as possible, like simplify my life, because I have a tendency to pick up too many projects and try to do too many things, and so I just kind of suck at all of them because there's too many things. So I'm trying to eliminate as much from my life as possible in every way. Like I'm trying to get rid of things. I'm trying to, like, I think I used to say before that, like, if you would have asked me this maybe 2 years ago, I would have answered with like, I want to make millions of dollars or whatever, some answer like that. Now I realize that if you have millions of dollars but you're unhappy, then it's not worth anything. So now I'm doing it from the other way. Like I'm trying to design my life the best way that I can. So I'm prioritizing the things that actually matter to me. And right now that's my kids and my wife. So they're priority number one over a business, over money, over anything else. Like you just got to make sure that those kids are happy and fed, and my wife feels loved. Like that's all. That's really my only job. But I also have to pay the bills. So like through trial and error, I discovered that the best way for me to do that is through these little videos. Because I get to do it at home. So I really want to focus on that. Like I'm working with a friend of mine filming food. And so I'm getting paid a little bit, like hopefully enough to pay my bills. But also I have a lot of free time. And that free time, I just want to master video and like storytelling. I want to grow a YouTube channel. I want to have like a really large audience. I want to have like just a lot of followers on all these platforms. Not because I care about those numbers, like not because I won a lot of following, but because I feel like it's like the thing that I was born to do is to learn about food and to talk about food. And I feel like it's something that I can contribute to the world and try to make it a little bit better. Like I believe that food makes or has the power to make things better, and the world is a mess. So like I'm trying to make it less of a mess my way. So I'm going to focus on that. I want to get better at filmmaking, and I want to get better at telling stories, and continue to get better at cooking, and mix those as my second priority. And the first one, just being a dad and a husband.
So you have YouTube and you have Instagram. Do you have any other social medias?
I have a podcast.
Yeah, you have
Um,
podcast. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the three that I yeah. So Instagram and a YouTube channel that so far sucks. Like, don't even look it up. It's terrible, but it will be very good. That's the goal. So
How do you split up your time between the three?
I'm-
Instagram, YouTube, and podcast.
yeah, I'm not very organized at all. I have ADD like crazy, so I don't have any method. I'm super disciplined in some things. So like, I get up at 5 every day, no matter what, and I do some breath work. I just breathe for 15 minutes outside of my house, and then usually I write down some ideas of what I have. So I write for like an hour first thing in the morning, um, and then based on that writing, then I try to apply that writing to a video. So all I'm thinking about in my head 24/7 is like, how can I make a better video with food? Um, so I don't know. It's not very balanced. I just kind of do whatever. Instagram seems to be the one that I do the most because it's kind of the easiest. You know, editing is it's a quicker edit. It's easier for me to turn those around. But I want to prioritize YouTube. I think YouTube is the best one of the platforms. Like, I spend a lot of time watching YouTube. I love YouTube. Like, it's amazing. Anything you want to learn on the planet it's in there. And I waste a million hours. Actually, I don't waste them because all of the algorithm, the YouTube, my personal algorithm for YouTube is all educational. So it's all filmmaking. Now it's some food because now I'm watching other channels on food just to see what they're doing. Not because I need to learn how to cook. So that's why I never did it before. So I'm watching a lot of that and like seeing what works, what doesn't. You know, there's a lot of chefs. I think the chefs that succeed are the ones that are themselves. Like, if it sounds like they're fake, like they're reading a script or something, nobody likes that. But the ones that are successful, like, they just, they use bad words if that's what they are into, or like they're funny if that's what they are. So
Whoever they are, you know.
yeah, it's just being themselves. Yeah, so I just want to get good at YouTube. That's my goal.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming out today, man. We've learned a lot.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
A lot of different perspectives that we have now. So yeah, thank you. Chef Andre PDX on Instagram. And then you have your links for YouTube from there, right?
Yeah, just Instagram's the only thing that really matters at this point. If people go there and find me there, message me there, it's the easiest way. And little by little, YouTube will grow and will be better. But right now, don't even try to search it. 'Cause it's pretty
Don't even
terrible.
look, guys.
Don't even look, guys.
Pretty embarrassing.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Andre.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
Bam.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you.